How's it going, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Here's the Craic podcast. We have our first guest episode of 2024 with Jay. How's it going?
How are you, boys?
Some people, you obviously see Jay's face if you're watching, or if you're listening to him, you may know from Jay's Barber Club. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
So I opened Jay's Barber Club about 4 years ago. Previous to that, I had Jay's Meal Grooming in Bloomfield Avenue. And I started my barbering career in Ballyhackamore, and it was just one of them things where I started off just at making the coffee and stuff like that, making tea, and worked my way up till the manager of House of Fraser. Mm-hmm. So from there I went and opened my own shop because I knew I could give the same service for more or less little money.
Yeah. You were the manager of House of Fraser?
So we had a store in House of Fraser.
All right, okay.
So on the second floor. So it was very, very eyes on and spotlight on you. So it was very good experience.
Yeah. And you've been doing completely barbering or hairdressers. What do you prefer?
See, to be honest with you, it's more like a stylist, you know what I mean? Because it's not just a basic barber where you're just doing basic barbers. There's definitely a difference between barbering and a stylist or male hairdressing, but I would say I'm more of a stylist.
Yeah. And can I ask you a question as a barber? Are you sick of doing skin fades? Because I was talking to a barber the other day, and he was like, "What do you want?" I assume it's a skin fade, and I went, "Yeah, same as the usual."
It's crazy the way different styles can come right round again. Where years ago, if it was a mullet, like my son has a mullet, or else I remember the Fuzi came out. The Fuzi was like a no blend.
I thought Joey Essex one inspired.
It's absolutely crazy.
My God, I remember that.
There's times I've actually refused to do it because you don't want to put your name to somebody's haircut. But the skin fade, I think, is going to be here to stay for a bit longer because it's one of them cuts. It grows out within a couple of days, and people want. There's actually people come in every couple of days and get it done. They just want to have smooth. It's like really
do you have people who actually do come in every couple of days, like booked in?
Years ago, whenever I was cutting, it was every 4 weeks. So everybody was every third, fourth week. That was them was getting ready on a Thursday or Friday night to go out for the weekend. Mm-hmm. But now it's I don't know. It's crazy. It's nearly like OCD. Just get that fluff off.
Yeah.
Would you say the men are getting worse than the women now with their hairdressing?
100%.
Anytime we plan something, it's always like, here, we need to book in for a skin fade. It's always the thing.
And even the time for it too. Sometimes it takes 45 minutes to an hour, depending who's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the first time someone recommended it because I don't know whether you can tell, but my hair is grey and it gets really grey at the sides. And I remember talking to someone the other week, and I was like, or a couple of years ago, and I was like, I'm getting really sick of my grey hair. It might actually been you. And you went, get a skin fade because you'll see less of the grey.
I think once you go there, it's hard to get away from it, isn't it?
And when you go there at 14, again, you start getting your first grey hairs at 14. It's a bit of a weird, like people in school are like, GCSE's getting to you, lad. And I'm like, yeah, unfortunately. But obviously, like, for those who know your story, there is ups, but obviously there's the fair share of downs as well, and you obviously released your own book and stuff that sort of tells your story, and I think obviously not to go into too much detail because obviously if people want to buy the book they can. But I think it's fair to take it right back to the beginning, so like a bit about yourself as a child and stuff, your upbringing. Obviously you grew up and your mum was an alcoholic, then you went into care. What was that time? Can you take us back there?
I can remember when I was about 5 or 6, being brought up in Rathcoole with my mother, me and my brother Wayne. I do remember being sent to school and like walking to school from where I lived to where the school is. Mm-hmm. And even it's crazy because I actually live in Rathcoole now, and actually the far it is. Going to school with no break, and just things that stick in your mind where you're going. We were walking to school, going to sit in school with no break, and I remember the teacher, like I'm 42 now, thinking right back to P1, and the school teacher getting all the other pupils to stand around you and like just give you wee piles of crisps and all that there, and you're just trying to think to yourself how much selfishly my mum was going through, obviously as an alcoholic, going to and being brought up in Rathcoole and remembering the smell of the laundrette and stuff where you're walking through the Diamond as a young child. So me and my brother was taken from my mother about, I think we're the first time 4 or 5. And all in all, I think we were in about 7 or 8 different foster homes.
Yep.
I always wanted to go to the home, where my brother wanted to go to a family, because it was he wanted to be part of a family, where I knew if I went to the home I could wreck a place.
Yeah.
I was just mental. I put the windows in, I flooded the place, and it was just crazy. Even the night that Wayne died, my stepsister thought that I'd burnt the place down or flooded it when the police came to tell her what happened to Wayne, about what happened to Wayne. So growing up in Rathcoole, it was actually, I actually liked it. It was nice. It was a good place to live. Then we were put off to Ballyclare, and we're just, as a child, being all over the place.
Yeah.
You said there about was it whenever you're in your break and other kids were giving you parts of their snacks and stuff? Was that like, what were you thinking at that time? Was that something you thought was a bit odd, or was it just sort of the norm to you? Because it's something that just most kids probably just take for granted now.
Oh, I know. See, it's crazy. Thinking back, I remember it clear as day, just not feeling like sorry for myself for feeling that it was lost now. Just, it was nearly like survival mode. It was really like, it was just, as you said, it was the norm. It was just, it's just a thing that was happening. And I don't really remember. I remember thinking to myself, this teacher's going to end up obviously getting the rest of the kids to give us snacks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then whenever you were moving in and out of the foster care, did that change throughout? Did the first time, was it different from the second time and the third?
The very first time I remember clear as day, where it was a policewoman and a policeman chased us, and we're only wee nippers. Like, I actually think we're P1 running away, and my brother Wayne biting the policewoman, and it was just, and I remember laughing and all. It was just like it was like it wasn't even real or something. It was just like getting taken away, and I remember all the time saying to Wayne, "This is going to be okay. We're going to get remote control our airplanes, and we're going to get petrol car, no, like remote control cars." And see, there's a game that's actually out now, and I used to draw. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like bikes it's an app. We motorbikes, and I used to draw it, like just draw wee like levels with wee ramps for the bikes and stuff. Yeah. And just wee stuff like that. And I think it was my imagination. It was just like nearly got you through.
Yeah. Did you have a sense of what was going on at that time? Because obviously you mentioned there you were 4 or 5, and I know looking back, whenever I was 4 or 5, my memories are a wee bit sort of faded. But at the same time, did you know like the situation with your mum, or did you understand what was going on? Or
I was very aware of all the drinking and stuff, and people coming to the house and stuff like that, and being scared, and my mother leaving us I remember us standing on top of both of us being like us just having no clothes on, standing on the back window, and people walking past, and obviously as kids we didn't know what we were doing. Yeah. And I remember like getting taken. I remember the time my mum took me and Wayne down to the Grove Baths as swimmers, and I actually drowned, because my properly drowned and had to get CPR. And I remember getting taken to the office and shouted at for drowning. I got a mucky way, and I'm going like, seriously, you're like, what the hell's going on? But stuff like that, it was very far and few between where you remember getting taken anywhere. But most of the time I remember in East Way, where we lived, was being left in the house, or if my mother was drinking, were being sent for messages and stuff like that. Yeah.
And were you sort of the older brother, were you kind of adopted that sort of, do you almost feel like when you look back now you were protecting your younger brother from a lot of that? Or
Oh, I definitely, like, it was a father figure, and I was only 4 or 5. I remember when she couldn't breathe, she had asthma, she used to grab me and like scream in the middle of the night, like howling, like go down and get a kettle and boil a kettle to fill the hot water bottle to put on her chest to try and help her breathe, and stuff like that. It was just like, it was like really, really scary at that age, because you were just like you didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So obviously at the time you were taken and placed into care, and you bounced around. What was that? What was going from that home life like to then? Did you ever get a sense of?
I think the very first one, we went to Marty and Ray's in Craic, and I remember that was probably looking back, that was probably the one that hardened me, because they were very, very good days. But I remember breaking my heart because I hadn't seen my mum and I wanted to see her. From there on in, I think that's the one that sort of hardened me to get the person, the child that I was, because after that one, it was just like, it was it wasn't really affecting me. I thought then it was in my heart that it was like missing my mum and stuff. But from then on in, I think that was the one at the very, very start that was sort of way hardened me to, like, it's nearly like, what do you call that there when you're homesick?
Yeah. And was it like a home, or was that people who?
It was people. It was people.
And would you still like have any relationships with these people who?
They, out of all of them, like there was loads of them wasn't good to me and Wayne, but Marty and Ray, me and my wife actually drove down. I've drove past their house a couple of times and was scared to go in, and she went in, and she went in and said, and they were crying their eyes out because their says they were trying to track me down. When I was younger, my name was Jason White, so I don't know why my name was changed. My name is Jason Millar. I'm obviously a Miller, but my name was changed. And they came out and they were crying their eyes out. They couldn't believe it. I came and spoke to them and stuff and got my picture and all with them. And I was actually speaking in church a couple of weeks ago in front of like 100 people, and they were there. And I publicly said in front, like a couple of times, of how good that they were to us, because I felt that they needed, I wanted to say that in front of everybody because they were genuinely good to us.
They were the first people you went to?
They were the first. So when I went to Marty and Ray, we went there for a short period of time, and then we were taken off the Emmons, put in the children's home, and then we were put back to the Emmons. Then we went to Ballyclare, then we were put back to Marty and Ray, and then we're put back to the children's home. So we're actually in there 2 or 3 times, and then we went to the children's home the night that Wayne was knocked down. The night that Wayne was knocked down, next door to Marty and Ray, there was an ambulance service fellow that worked there, and they went, because Wayne got knocked down around the corner from where Marty and Ray's was. Yeah. So it's crazy the way things are.
Well, this could be a very ignorant question, but I don't really fully understand. But why the bouncing about?
See, to be honest with you, looking back, I don't know why the moved us about, or why I thought it was moving us about would help us, but we were moved about, I would say, easily 7 or 8 times, maybe more, as a young child. I actually remember being in other children's homes that they've never really contacted, to be in contact with them, to see where Manny was in.
Yeah. And back then, whenever you were leaving the likes, Marty and Ray, isn't it? Yeah. Whenever you were leaving them, were you like, oh, I can't, glad to get away from them, or was it you were missing them?
I really wanted to stay there. I remember the barbecues, the smell of barbecues. They used to bring other kids up to play with us. He worked for Kit Kat, and just all wee different things. Learnt me how to ride a bike. All wee small things that really stuck by me. Even the things that you think about now, where other ones took us on, and they were fighting each other, and remember them flipsick as a kid having sex, and they were having sex, and just all the madness that was going on, and it was crazy. And at the end of the day, I know obviously people think it's only a bit of sex, but some of the stuff that was going on, it should never been going on, because they were getting paid to look after us. The way they were treating us, I remember getting taken from I was in a place in Ballyclare, and they made us got us out of bed on a summer's day for the whole summer, and made us lie on our beds all day on a summer's day. Didn't let us get out of bed. Lie on top, make a bed, lie on top of it, and don't move the whole day. And I remember just lying there the whole day, not eating nothing, and just lying there. And I actually drove up into their house and was going to rap our door. But at the end of the day, just to ask them why. If you're getting paid to look after children, or you're registered to look after children, why would you do that to somebody? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Was it like a punishment or something, or is it just?
See, to be honest with you, looking back, I don't think it was a punishment. I think it was just they were probably sick and tired of looking after us, and they were just I remember trying to hide toast and all in my top pocket of my what do you call it, my jammies, just to try and, because I was obviously hungry as a child. But I think sometimes back then there's a lot of people who's looking after kids that shouldn't have been looking after kids. Yeah. The only thing I'm grateful for that it was never anything really bad, where you were probably passed around like a Christmas present, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm grateful that never happened to me. But there was other certain things that happened in the children's home too, with older kids. I was took out the back with there was a teenage girl, and she put yogurt on her privates and says, "Here, lick that off." And I've just got a claim a couple of weeks ago of a serious amount of money because of that happening. When I went to the historical abuse case, they said to me to give all the evidence. And I said I was never taking the barber shop, I was never taking the dentist, all these different things. And I told them the name of the girl that done that. And they agreed. They agreed because they knew what all the stuff. There was other allegations against her. Do you know what I mean? And the money that they paid me, it's crazy, because at the end of the day, they wouldn't have paid you that money if I thought he's just making this up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my wife said to me for years, and some of the stuff she didn't know, and she's like, the stuff that they've done on you and everything else, you should definitely put in for a claim. But at the end of the day, it's not about the money. I know obviously people say the money's good and stuff, but at the end of the day, when you've been through stuff like that, you're going, right, so if all this here happened, where he was in charge whenever a child like me was took out the back and stuff like that. Imagine if you had gotten done stuff like with somebody older, or you wouldn't know what would happen. Do you know what I mean?
You don't know. You're sort of blind to all that.
Aye, it's crazy. I knew it was wrong. Do you know what I mean? And it scared me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it happened a couple of times, and the stuff that was going on in them homes, I think people just wanted an easy life.
Yeah.
What was the sort of age gap in them houses? Was it like, say, a lot of younger ones mixed in with was there big?
Aye, there were people that was 18 locking themselves in rooms and screaming and going nuts, coming in drunk. I remember another wee boy took me away from Rathfern home, away up past Dundee, or not, what do you call it, Mollusk, and there's no lights, and us getting picked up by police, and I'm going.
Oh, you just walked with you?
Just walked. Madness. So you're getting mixed up with a lot of people. It's like it's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And like, how long did you bounce about, like, care for then before you sort of went out on your own, or what happened there? Like?
So the length of time that it was in different children's homes, there was only at Carnview was the children's home, and then different care homes, like a family home. I was in a home, another place in Doak Road, and they took the rings that my mother left me when she died. If I hadn't eaten my dinner, they left me standing outside in the rain and made me stand out in the rain. And my stepsister actually came up to visit. She says, "Why are you standing outside?" And I says, "Because I wouldn't eat my dinner. They wanted me to eat vegetables." Very, very strict. Like at Christmas and stuff, like, they had 2 daughters, and they were getting computer games and TVs and all this, and we got a couple of books. And you're going, like, these people were obviously getting well paid. And at the end of the day, the thing about it is, it's I think whenever people like that, it nearly makes them, it hardens them to you. After say for toxic stuff like that, after a while it's just like, just don't be giving them anything. Do you know what I mean?
As you get older, obviously it would be a safe assumption, like, to say, like, as you get older and you've experienced all of this, what you obviously can describe as like a trauma, basically.
Yeah.
How did your personality change with that? Like, did you sort of?
I think for a long time I had this attitude where I thought I could do what I want because I've been through this, without saying to anybody, like, I've been through this. Especially when the shopping all came along, it was like, I'll do whatever I want because obviously I lost my brother, or this and this and this. And it took me a long time. I was like Peter Pan, never grew up.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, hand on heart, it's only the last 4 or 5 years that I've actually grew up and wised up.
Yeah.
And took things the way I should be, I don't know, like, taking responsibility for every action, whether it be a thought, whether it be whatever I do.
Yeah.
Obviously an action causes a reaction, and it took me a long time to actually like grow up and accept that.
Yeah.
Where before it was like, if I mean, and I think it's took me a long time to accept it.
Yeah. Can you sort of go in? Obviously, your mum passed away. What was that call like in terms of for getting to know what happened there? Like, obviously you're in care at the time.
We were in the place in the Doak Road, and I remember them just walking in, just plain as day, saying, your mum's dead. And I think because of the relationship that me and my mum had, whatever, up the lane wasn't good with obviously not being there and everything else. I didn't really take it on board, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And even the day she was being buried, like, we were outside, running up and down the street with just like smashing it, cracking eggs, because we were just trying to, you know what I mean, we thought we could just run about and do what we wanted.
Yeah. Did you think you were just sort of like ignoring it nearly and taking your mind off it?
You're just existing. It's like this isn't really happening.
A coping mechanism
for such a young person at that age to be doing that. It's actually, looking back, it's like that mindset I think got me through, because in my mind I was always telling me, we're going to be all right. Listen, everything's, for to be in such a position with how young I was, how much I was through, how much I didn't know, and I was always saying, listen, we're going to be all right. We see the foster parents were going to. They were going to get us petrol airplanes. They were going to get us remote control cars. And the imagination was just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. I suppose it was one of them things where, like, because you were moving about so much, and obviously within a very, very short space of time in your life growing up, so much changed and so much was thrown at you. You're probably thinking, well, like, God knows what I'm going to wake up to tomorrow. It could be good, could be bad. And in terms of how you cope with all that yourself, there's also your brother. Like, where was he? Did he follow you where you went, or in terms of you moved care home, he moved with you? Like, whenever all this stuff was going on, were you kind of shielding him from that? Did he have...
The thing when everything was going on, anywhere I went, the fortunate thing about it, we're never split up. We're always we're always together. So wherever we were moved to, but we always went together. But even the night that incident happened with Wayne, he wasn't even meant to go with me. You know, I mean, we were all... Yeah. The plan was that we were just going to leave, and then we got to the end of the gate, and he was like, "I'm coming." And I was like, "You're not coming. Just stay here. Just stay here." And he obviously ended up coming. So he wasn't even meant to come the night that he was actually knocked down.
Where were you going to, or what was?
See, thinking back, but I don't think there was like 15 and 16-year-olds there as well. There was like 8 of us.
Yeah.
So
what age were you? Sorry,
I was 8 at the time, and we were 7. So at that time, we're obviously this is a thing that I always think about, like, how were we built? How did we run away from a home that was obviously they were meant to be looking after us? And then obviously being taken away with people as like teenagers, a lot older than us. Do you know what I mean? It's manipulating you. Obviously, you don't know what's happening.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind, can we go back to that? So you were in Carnview at the time.
Yep.
And then you decided you were going to run off, and why? If you don't mind me asking, why leave? Why did you want Wayne to stay behind?
I think I wanted him to stay behind because I just didn't want him to come with us, because I knew we were going to go far, and from where we were to where we went, we actually got on a train and everything. We were like miles and miles and miles away from home. I just didn't want him to come with us because I just didn't want him to be part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I knew it was going to be obviously wild. You know what I mean? It wasn't going to be.
The part you were probably going to end up coming back anyway.
Nah, you were going to. Oh, I definitely coming back. So it wasn't as if that was us away.
Yeah. And you left with this group, and obviously Wayne followed. And was it just kind of like, right, you may come on then, if you're coming, or what was that sort of time like?
I was just like, right, come on, and everything else, and we just run down into White Abbey Hospital and sort of run through the woods till the train station, and then just more or less get on the train. That was us. Yeah. And we all thought, this is brilliant. Then one of the bigger fellas, William, he actually rung the home on the payphone and everybody was shouting, "We're down in Armagh, we're down here, and Wayne, out of everybody, Wayne was the only one that shouted we're in Craic, and the big boys were actually going to hit him. Yeah. Because he shouted that, and he was the only one that said where we were. Yeah.
And then what happened after that then, once you got off the train?
So after we got off the train, that's when we made our way. We were going to one of the girls' house in Castlemara, and we were just making our way through Craic. Went to the Craic Grammar School, and we were making our way through like the gravel pitch and just making our way across. And I remember just like dragging my feet across and just walking, and then it was like, when daylight goes to dark, but you can still see, but it's not too dark, but it's still getting dark. And I remember just hearing this big loud bang. It was like a cardboard box, and one of the girls screaming, saying Wayne's been knocked down. And the farther I went down, and I've made a documentary about it and all. He was actually like 150 feet or something. Like I marked it out how far it was, because the lamppost that he was laying at and where he got hit. And the reason I went down as well was to try and work out like how fast that the girl was going. Do you know what I mean? And God love her too, because at the end of the day, it's a hell of a thing to have on your conscience as a child. To be, I remember her clear as day at the funeral and all, like really, really breaking her heart. And she had to leave her job and stuff. She was in the police, and she left her job.
This was who?
The girl that actually knocked him down. Yeah. I would actually love to get the contact her if I could contact her, just to speak to her and just give her a hug and say that I was sorry, because obviously the way I got on that day when Wayne died, I was trying to like pull the grass thing, the grave diggers put over the grave, And obviously, as a child, you're just lashing out. You just don't really know what your emotions is doing.
Yeah.
But I would love to meet her and just give her a hug and say that I forgive her. Like, I just don't want her to think ever that it was like hold any like grudges against. Obviously, because if I was in that position, I would really love somebody.
Closure.
Closure.
Would you say you initially blamed her at the start when it happened and stuff?
When I was a kid, I was just like, I can't believe you took my brother away. But obviously, as a child, do you know what I mean? But now it's like I completely understand.
Yeah.
The whole situation of what it actually unfolded like that night.
Yeah, and then I suppose moving on from that, after that, did it change the way you were acted and stuff, or did it have an effect on
I
you?
was so angry. It was just lashing out everywhere. It was madness. I was always running away and like wanting people to like it was just madness. Just not trying to like take things serious. Obviously, as only a young child, you know what I mean. But it's madness the way obviously you're processing things.
Yeah.
And were you given much help with that within the care system, or was
No,
it just you were
not a
sort of
thing.
left to your own demise?
I was questioned by the police for about 3 hours and about 8 pages, A4 pages
After the accident?
after the accident. Now,
Fucking hell.
crazy like.
Yeah.
Not once did I was ever offered like counselling or anything, but even the sitting getting questioned, and when they're questioning you, they're like obviously you're a child, but they're still like over and over and over and over again asking you questions. Maybe they were trying to find out in case somebody pushed them or whatever, but
Yeah.
after losing your brother, like it was very, very hard.
Yeah. And sorry, the time after that, then obviously you were saying you're lashing out and stuff, and obviously like you're 8 at the time, you probably didn't really know how to process. You've lost your mum, you've lost your brother, and in terms of that, then as you sort of go into then the crucial years, the teenage years, where like even people who haven't been as through like a traumatic experience as you have are still kind of lashing out, and it's a weird time. Like, what was that like? And as you grew up and got a little bit bigger, and
so you're just like everything's going on. I joined the army very, very early too, so I think that was put a bit of discipline into me. But even the early year, like, going into a teenager, I was like Peter Pan. I never grew up. Everything never took nothing serious, and everything else. It was just one thing to the next. Did it. And I definitely think of probably never was ADHD. It was never diagnosed back in the 80s. But that mindset sort of way, I think, definitely helped me because I never really like took things serious. And then going and join the army too, like it's sort of like gave me the first good bit of discipline. It was like, whoa.
What was that like? I'm interested to know what that was like, because obviously if you're a bit of a kite in the wind character to go to the army, where it's
I think the first day it was like get any like door frames you go through, they made you do press ups, and I think for me the whole family part of it, of all obviously all the troops that was in the battalion or all the ones was in our company, it was like something I was yearning for a long time. It was like this whole big family, but it was some experience, like having to like have a respirator on and go into a gas chamber and take your gas chamber off and shout your number, Private Millar, and then shout your number, and all these wee things. It was character building to build you up who you are, and it's crazy because that's where I was starting to cut hair. I done a few haircuts in the army as well. So
how long were you in it for?
3 years. So it was a good job. I'm glad I done it. But it's definitely character building. Like, seeing you're in the rats and all. Like, I done all the rat training. I done all the stuff, and it was crazy. Some of the places that you see and do, it's crazy.
Yeah. Was there any in particular that you remember looking back at and being like, I need to wise up here? Or
no, I think as obviously how young I was, I remember doing patrols down in South Armagh and stuff, and in a helicopter, and it was just mad. Like, it was just thinking back, I'm like, how man still in one piece.
Yeah.
We were doing patrols down there, and I remember there was a car coming up and just doing like a handbrake, and I'd done it 4 or 5 times, and then we went back to the barracks, and it was actually, there was a bomb underneath the bridge, and they were trying to get us to chase them, and just stuff like that. You're going, like, you could have been dead so easy, like, you know what I mean? And especially down there, it's Banda country, like, but
that's where we're from Armagh.
Where was it in? Was it Cross Glen or something, was it?
I just say Armagh, it was Dramad Barracks. But see, doing the helicopters and all, it was like it was just straight away. You're like, boom, get on that helicopter, and I'm going, I'm not getting on. I don't like heights. Get on the helicopter. And you're like, flip sake. And then just some of the stuff you're doing down there too. It's like you grew up very, very quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're standing there with a gun. I've stopped a couple of people that had guns in their cars too.
Yeah.
But they were registered shotguns and stuff. So it's not as if you're running about like a maniac. But what was it like growing up in Armagh?
It's grand. Like.
I'd say we sort of
Well, you were
missed
more
that
like-
era. Maybe whenever we were like 4 or 5, like it probably was coming to the end of it.
Yeah.
Even
But
like that
I
was
do
almost
remember the
sort of
army
like-
and stuff being about Katie and like.
Katie,
around
that's right.
there.
99 I was there.
Yeah,
There's
that's.
barracks in Katie. Like,
I
up
was
the-
would have been 2
going
then at that
towards
time.
Blaney, wouldn't have been? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember them being there, but I remember like people like shooting at the barracks and stuff on motorbikes and.
That's
Just
great.
you hear mental stories from back then, like, but I never really experienced any of it firsthand.
Yeah,
But,
I'm glad that
a
I
mad
seen what it
time, like.
did, but it was crazy. There was a police barracks down there. It was blew up. They went
Yeah.
into the hotel and the mortar. I was there just after that, and you're going like,
Was it Kiarna Hotel?
not too sure. There was no hotel. There was no hotel there when it was the bomb was done, but the hotel. There's a hotel there
This
now.
must be where the Armagh City Hotel is.
Aye, yes, that's it.
Yes.
Aye,
It's fucking mad, like.
Crazy time, like.
run about like Rambo.
What was it like? So then, what happened following on from that? Like, when did you finish up with the army?
So I was actually doing one of my friends, Paul Cochran. He was in the army, and he actually was in Dermot or in Armagh, and he was on the phone to his mother, and he shot himself on the phone. And apparently I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but the MOD, if anything ever happens in the army, they just close ranks and they won't speak to you no matter what. And his poor mother and father have been trying to get answers for a long, long time. I think the night it happened, one of his boots was ripped off and his top was ripped, and there's all notes and stuff written down, and I couldn't believe it when I heard what he done, because he was one of the hardest men in the platoon. Anybody that was being cheeky or anybody that was bullying people, he'd be the one to stand up to them. And I had many times in the wet room, you call it, where it's like a heated room that dries all your stuff out. That's where I started cutting her and cutting his hair. And he used to tell me all these stories about, he used to like messed about, steal his dad's taxi when he's a young kid. He wasn't a joiner, but all these wee stories. And his dad, he says one day he took his dad's car out, and he says it was mad, because just telling me funny stories like that and then hearing about him doing it, you're like, fuck's sake, it's just so like raw and barbaric to do something like that. And it's just, but apparently the fella that was meant to have done stuff to him, he was jailed too. But I think stuff like that in the army, nothing ever really comes out. It's only like hearsay and everything else. I think after it happened, because I went up and seen his mother, that like men in black suits went up and spoke to them, and from then they've never spoke to them again.
Yeah. Is that around the time you left?
Yeah, I left just after that. Yeah.
Right. Did that drag up some, like, maybe?
Definitely, because I obviously wasn't my brother, but just wee things like that, you're like, I can't believe it, he's dead, and here I am again in this sort of scenario where you're going, like, what is life all about? Joined the army, try to like get myself on the straight and narrow and have a bit of discipline and everything else, and try and have a career for myself, and then that there happened, and you're going, like, what is going on? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I felt more sorry for his family, because at the end of the day, it's really, really bad what he done for him and his family, but it's just, I think it's worse whenever you can't get answers. It's nearly like sit your hands there and shut your mouth.
Yeah. And so you left.
Yep.
And what age were you when you?
Whenever I got out, I was 20, 22. And from there, I was doing haircuts out in my back shed and everything else. And I remember going to join.
How much was a haircut then?
I was doing haircuts for a tenner out the back. Aye.
Flip that.
Back in, aye.
That's not bad.
That's alright.
Yeah.
I was expecting you to be like
Aye,
£5.
£3.
3 quid. Yeah, like,
I remember going to
what?
Tar Street, and I remember getting my wee ID card for a student, and I had my hair dyed, and I was wearing a pink shirt, and I was going, flip, I'd run about here, and people would think I'm flipping, what do you call that there, guac-wan. And flip, I was all busy, I had this flipping, it's not a strip in your hair.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, you look back, you're going, what was I actually thinking? Running about with a man bag and all.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's where I started the barbering, and I actually had a shop in Templemore that looked out on the back of where Tar Street was. It's an old place where like people used to go to study and stuff. No, like a place for like studying like hairdressing and stuff. So it was very, very busy.
So you opened up your own place?
I've opened up
Straight away.
Well, I went and worked in Ballyhack and done a load of work with Emmons, and they sent me on these courses for customer service and loads of stuff, and I actually enjoyed working there, because there was always a good vibe. Met lots of people like Eamon Holmes and Jeff Goody, and I cut 30 Seconds to Mars, cut their hair in the MTV Awards. I didn't even know who he was because I thought it was Justin Bieber's DJ. And
John Leto.
It's crazy because he actually came up to tell me, he says, "Can I get a haircut?" And I says, "Can you come back? Can you come back again?" And so we came back, and I cut his hair, and then from there, I ended up, I left and opened my shop in Bloomfield Avenue, Jay's Meal Agreement, and from there it was crazy because I was given this service. And I always had it in my mind that I wanted people to look and feel good, and that was always and I had my heart where I just want to give so much, and I that's the way I've always been. So when people's coming into my shop, they were getting a haircut. Say you three guys came up from Armagh to get their haircut in my shop. This is what I would have done. I would have said and I'd done it in House of Fraser. I'd have said to my trainees, I would say, right, give him the exclusive conditioner. So that's the peppermint American Craic conditioner. So he'd have been sitting getting a head massage. I ain't cutting your hair. Then you just swapped over. Then you'd have got a hot towel while you're getting he's getting his head massage. Then you'd have got a hot towel off your haircut. Then I'd have put you in the seat. So all of a sudden, you've all had great haircuts. He's just had a head massage. He's had a head massage, and I've rotated it. And I just thought that's what I've done for so long. And then I filled all the chairs, and then all of a sudden I had 5 cutting for me, and the money was just flying. Yeah. Back then, the way the money was, it was just a lot of money. Yeah. It was brain burning.
Yeah. Would that have been like, how long ago would that have been?
2011.
Was barbering as pop big a thing? Like, would you have much competition back then, if you know what I mean?
No, definitely not. When I started in 2011, the many barbers it's like sprouted up from then, and the way I brought out the graffiti, wearing shorts, cutting hair, and everything else, nobody wanted to be a barber. So I'm barbering actually before it was cool. So now I think there's so many barbers now that do a skin fade, and they're thinking that's us, we've made it. That's us for one trick pony. But no, it's the barbering industry's it's went berserk like.
Yeah, it's took a different turn. It's like it's more an experience now than
definitely. I think
haircut, isn't it? Like,
it's definitely, and I do a lot of teaching. I teach 5 nights a week as well, and what I try and teach the students is it's not just even just a haircut. As corny as it sounds, you're trying to build a rapport with people. Yeah. Because if you rush somebody and rush them out, they're never going to come back again. Mm-hmm. Know what I mean? And all the reviews that I have on Google, know what I mean, I didn't pay people to write them. Know what I mean? And I would always mess about and say to, like, maybe somebody's been in the first time, I'd say, just would you leave a review on Google, just tell lies and say I'm funny. Yeah. You know, just because you're just trying to build that the flow of actually making the experience, as you say, is for them to come in and actually enjoy. Because there's a lot of people come in that's not happy. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it's, if you have that wee bit of like humour, it's sort of like, but there's some vibe in that place.
There's so many things to think about too, because when you like grow up with like your like a parent or something taking you to a barber, you're kind of used to that sort of level, and then when you go in somewhere, you're like, well, hey, if this guy messes up, this is my hair we're talking about here, so I have to like face tomorrow with a bad haircut. Like it's a lot to like, you know, sounds simple, but it's a lot to like take in. I know. So
there was actually in one of my shops, there was a wee pensioner used to come in. He was easily 70 or 80, and he was he says, would you come up to my house and cut my hair in the living room? And I says, oh yeah, I do call outs. And he says, like, how much do you charge? And I says, sure, we'll work it out. And he says, okay. He says, I'll give you a bottle of beer on one condition: you show me all your tattoos. And I says, right. And he says, and sometimes I like to get my hair cut and you be naked. But I ain't going, listen. He says, can I have your number? And I says, certainly. So I give him my wife's number. And he rung her, and he comes down. So he comes down another time with a bottle of Joe Box and a box of milk tray. And he says, I want to take you for dinner. He says, but your girlfriend must, I don't want her to know. And she's sitting there, because he obviously thought she wasn't my girlfriend. And I'm going to myself, like, I said, what do you work as? And he says, I'm a school teacher. And he says, what do you think I am? And he says, now don't be embarrassing me. And I says, about 60 years. He says, I'm only 43. This fella, he actually was that old. He had no Velcro on his shoes. I was like, there's no way I'm going up to your house to cut her. I says, I'll be getting the thing. I'll be getting something for my mouth. Got you now.
He clearly upgraded from a bottle of beer to a bottle of Joe Box.
That's it. I know.
He was desperate.
He was trying to make an impression.
Yeah.
It's some experience.
So you left army and then obviously trained up properly, and then opened up your own place. And obviously you've said there you've got to the point where you're reckoning dough. Now a lot of people listening to this will probably go, well, he's grand then, like he's made it. But actually then there's another sort of arc to your story where things weren't as good as what they maybe appeared to be on the surface. So when did you kind of know there was problems with you?
I think just obviously going out so much. Like I used to work really, really hard, but then I thought I could party even harder. And some of the drugs and drink that I was taking was like, you couldn't party and drink and take gear to 4 in the morning and go into work at 7 or 8. No, I mean, it's just not feasible. Do you know what I mean? You can't do it. And then just after a period of time of doing it, and obviously with my personality, do you know what I mean? Doing something so much, you can't do that. I mean, yes, you might be addicted to work, or you might be, but if you have a addictive personality, taking gear, it's going to catch up on you, whether it be money or whatever, or your sanity.
Do you think, like, at that time, obviously you have your own shop, you're meeting people, and it almost seems like, you know, the stories that you're telling seems like good crack, and that's almost like distracting you in the day. But then when the doors close and you don't have that constant interaction anymore, is that whenever you started to notice like you may be a little bit discontent of being on your own? Or
I think there's sometimes after working all, like, it's madness. I used to just get about 4 or 5 bags of pure and 2 bottles of wine and just put the music on the shop, lock it up, and just dance all night. Mad. And see, thinking back, it's like, what the like, if I had sat down and spoke to somebody about all this year, they would have been going like, "Jay, this isn't what normal people do."
Yeah.
And in my mind, for a long period of time, I was going, "F everybody, I've been through this and I deserve this," and nobody's going to tell me what to do, because all of a sudden I was Jay, and I thought I could do what I want. But at the end of the day, looking back, it would be okay to ask for help. Do you know what I mean? We're back in. I was like, "Oh, F everybody, I know what I'm doing," and everything else. Do you know what I mean?
So almost like manifested it self
100%.
in a way where you were a bit like, well, I deserve it. You almost felt like it was like a release, but in actual fact it was probably a coping mechanism. Like,
yeah, and back then I wrote down, before I went and worked in the place that I worked, I wrote down in a bit of paper, drew on a page of all the awards that I won, being in all the magazines, driving a BMW with big wheels, everything that I wrote, I manifested that, and it happened, it came about.
Yeah.
But then when I got the shop and I started to think wrong, see, within 6 months, everything that I was thinking, and negative and everything, standing in the shower thinking about all this, everything just started to go boom. So whenever my mindset was off and I wasn't even thinking straight and drinking and taking gear, and obviously when you're doing that, you're not going to be a positive person, because you're just going to be why me, or sorry me, or feel sorry for me, or feel sorry for myself. And little by little, you'll just, like watching an airplane crash and burn.
And did it start to affect your work at a stage? Did you start to notice
See,
yourself? Or
see, to be honest, I think the thing that got me, I'm not being big-headed. I can do my job very, very easily and very, very good and well. But I remember I used to cut hair, and then just the place where we done the head treatments, I remember falling asleep, like just boom, out. Know what I mean? And the boys like messing about and taking videos and all of me. So it was always the tiredness that got me. I don't think it was my job or my quality of work, but being tired, like, and then between being 30 and 40, like, there's not a chance I could be doing that now. I'm in bed now every night at 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? And I tell you what, I look forward to just getting to bed early, where before it was like, I'm just going to dance all night and just take as much gear as I can, and just thinking if it could be alright. Know what I mean? And my poor wife, God love her, I tortured her, like, just with drinking and taking gear and talking a lot of rubbish.
what was the stage then that made you wise up? But was there like, did you hit something happen, or?
I think just stuff that I've been through and everything else, and the money I was spending. Like, there was times I went to a hotel one night and I was up paranoid on gear, living out on the ledge, and fell from a 3-story building, and mad, like. And see, thinking back, it's like, how did I even survive that? Drove past the police at 100 mile an hour more, and drove to the Millar. Well, I drove to Hollywood first, and I remember getting into the house and my wife going, "What have you done? What have you done?" And I'm going, because I couldn't see my leg. My leg was just hanging open, and I had a punctured lung, or collapsed lung, broken wrist. I needed 150 stitches. I was in resus for 13 hours, and I remember just hobbling over to the Millar Hospital, getting in. And I remember looking back and going, I haven't even parked that car properly. Blood everywhere. Back into the car again, and some woman would run away screaming. Back into the car and reversed it and parked it, and I walked into the Millar and just collapsed, because obviously I was in a bad way. But that was because drinking gear got me to a bad place, and being paranoid and thinking you could hear noises and hear guns, and obviously being in the army. I'm not making excuses, but obviously some of the stuff that I seen in the army and some of the stuff that I was put through in the army, me taking drink or gear to a certain extent was obviously, it was going to affect me, because obviously I've watched Sacco lessons. I don't know if you know what that is. The Sacco lessons, it's a slideshow where they'll put you in the room and make you watch stuff, the suicide, murders, the bad, like all sorts of stuff, madness.
It's
And
like training, is
it's
it? or-
training. You have to watch this to harden you, to make you.
So you
You know
can't
what I mean?
freeze.
So
on a
I'm
job,
talking
like.
about an hour and a half. I'm not talking about 4 or 5 minutes. For an hour and a half of people that's murdered themselves, people that's been blew up, people that's been burnt alive, kids being killed, like loads of stuff that have been seen. And I'm not sitting here making excuses of why that's why I took. I'm just trying to paint the picture of all the stuff that you've been through, and you're watching, you're looking at this stuff, and even now it sort of gives you nightmares. You're going, like, that's madness, like, having to watch it, but it's obviously to harden you, to sort of so they can make you, if you're put in a situation that you can handle it.
And help you react to it, sort of.
Like,
not
I can't
froze
do
there.
this.
Yeah. So seems like the drinking, the drugs type thing was like, as I say, like a form of like escapism as such, but in actual fact it was probably, well, it was doing more harm than it was good. What was the low point?
Looking back, the low point was probably, one of the points was just probably what I put away from my kids through, just being selfish, because obviously it's not a good thing to go through, and just maybe hardship for them is that they weren't getting the proper father or the partner there should have been back in. I've always run that business where I wasn't trying to put it in people's faces. Always, what I've always done, trying to help people. And now the academy is just, it's just what I'm so grateful for, that I can change people's lives. Do you know what I mean? The money that's went through my hands, it's not about money. Do you know what I mean? If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
What would you say motivates you now, though?
What motivates me now is that I can get up and go into work and really do like have a clean conscience, that I'm actually living a good life and helping people, and genuinely just doing things. The game plan and everything that I've done has never changed, if you know what I mean. The only thing that's changed is that I'm not drinking or taking gear. And before I came tonight, I worked all day, and a fella actually came in the shop and he says, did you backslide? And I was like, what do you mean? He says, some girl says that you were out drinking in the D side on New Year's Eve. And I says, definitely not me. He says, I thought that. He says, I didn't think of it, but it just shows you what people will say. You know what I mean? I says, what that girl was, she wants to hear it. You know what I mean? So even now, you know what I mean, people still saying, and I've actually had people ring. There was 3 different people rang my pastor in my church and rang and asked my pastor, is it Daphne J, the one with tattoos? Because I know how mad I was when I was drinking and partying. Is it Daphne, the one with the tattoos? And he says, it is Daphne J. And I'm going, like, if somebody's going out of their way to Google the church asking about me, it just shows you, like, you know what I mean, there's a lot of people's not happy about getting on the street now.
Is this something, have you recently just joined church, have you? Or
well, I'm saved about 4 years now. So I went and done an Alpha course with church. An Alpha course is a 12-week intensive course. Learned how to receive the Holy Spirit and just pray and stuff, and just a basic thing about being saved. And at the end of the day, I know that churches and priests and everybody give some Christians a bad name. At the end of the day, it's my personal relationship that I've had with God and what God's done with me. And I think He's done a lot of good in my life. And it says in the Bible, what the locust takes away, that God will give you back tenfold. And I honestly believe that everything that was taken away from me now is coming back in tenfold. Not that I want money or materialistic things, it's just the way that I'm helping people, and I've got a clear conscience and everything else, where before it was just like, it was only going to end one way. Do you know what I mean?
And did that come around? Because obviously you talked about that sort of low point in your life, and it feels very business orientated, but personally, like, taking the barber, the shop aside and the business side of things, like, personally, was that a moment for you where, when you knew you had to get back on the straight and narrow
with church?
Is that where you find that church?
See, to be honest with you, looking back, it's nearly like one of them things, as we were talking before. Like, it just happened. I mean, I met a fella that I know from school, and he said to me about going up, and I was like, I don't want to go. And I'd done it, and then little by little, because of my attitude and everything else, and I'm stubborn, and just bit by bit, my life's better when I'm going to church and I have God in my life and when I pray. And like, I honestly get up every morning to 6:30, 7 and pray, and I'm thankful for what I have and my wife and my kids and everything else. And I know a lot of people doesn't believe because how mad my life was. No, I mean, and I know life, like, God isn't, like, I had a fella actually ring me today and ask me, why's all this stuff being left out of the Bible? And I'm going, I don't know everything. No, I mean, all I can tell you is I have a personal relationship with God, and and that's the truth, and what the change He's done in my life. But the thing about the church and stuff, like, I know you have to be very careful of where you're standing and raising your hand and saying, oh, I'm part of some denomination, because at the end of the day, there's been a lot of stuff out there that they haven't been really nice to people too, you know what I mean? Well, it be lesbians or gays or whatever. And at the end of the day, I think you should just let people live their own life and no mind.
Yeah. And now you obviously have the shop, you have the academy. You were telling us there you have 2 buses. Yeah. People were like, he's lost the Range Rover, now you're back with 2 buses.
He's getting up in the world. Beep, beep.
From a 5-seater to a 72-seater.
He wants an all-day ticket.
But and then obviously people know you from you've like have few videos and stuff up about you go out and you cut like homeless people's hair and just seems like you're at that stage in life where you've kind of got yourself obviously on a straight and narrow, things are decent with the business, and now was it kind of just something that you just said, I need to start giving back? Or
I have actually done the homeless for when I had Jay's Meal Agreement. I've been cutting the hair on Christmas Day for a long time, so I've always been doing it. But now I'm doing it for the right reasons, where, like, imagine me going to cut them homeless hairs and me being flat out in the gear. No, I mean, not that I'd be forcing it down people's neck going, you need to sort yourself out, because I've learned a lot about myself doing all the homeless, because yes, my story's hard and it's bad of certain things that's happened in my life, but some of the stories that them boys have told me are like, I've actually took a fella Thomas off the streets and I've actually put him onto one of my courses. And it's only up to now that I've learned a lot about myself of actually how to control and help somebody. It's not just about going, here, there's a course. It's all complex needs of what actually he needs for help. Do you know what I mean? It's not just the fact that, here, throw them scissors on and let's work away. You know what I mean? Because it's like, do you ever see one of them with cubes? You have to move everything about. That's what the whole situation is. And he's got these needs where he has to be taking stuff, or he needs to be on a program, or he's got an infection and all that. And then everybody on TikTok's going, well, what about Thomas? How is he? And we've done a great video and he's standing before and after, where he's been standing clean, cutting hair, and everything's going really well. But obviously things happen with him and his family too, and he can fall right back in the city centre, and they're taking heroin and everything else. It's just another bit of madness.
Was that the guy? Was it you done a video with him outside? Was it across from Mikey's deli?
Aye, that's it.
Yeah, I seen that there video. But like, what way has he progressed, or what have you seen?
That's just what I'm saying. It's nearly like it's like 4 steps forward, 10 back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so frustrating, because I've actually been offered by a good friend of mine, Brian Barrett, that he can actually get me a shop for free in Belfast.
Yeah.
But all I need to do is train people up and put them in it. But it's not just as easy as that. No. I mean, you've more chance of winning the lottery than getting people clean and helping them. So he's willing to give me, or get me, a shop in city centre and give it to these people. But in my opinion, for that to happen, they would nearly need to get in with me in my shop and prove to me, like, for 2 years they can, and then give them it, because at the end of the day, you're really chasing your tail. So the thing about it is, it's like back and forth and trying to help these people, but there's a lot of stuff that's happened where some of them people's been like severely raped bad by their family members, and you're going like, how can I even be sitting here giving them advice and going, don't be doing this or don't be doing that, and they've been through hell, I mean hell, come back from school, and their family members have maybe got them pimped out to people, and you're going like, is this stuff actually happening? Like, you know what I mean? And then I'm trying to work with somebody that's you know what I mean, that's been through so much. You know what I mean? It's not easy.
So what is it that you obviously, you seem like you are on like I would say a mission, but like, what is it that kind of, what is your goals now? Like, if you could get that, like, a piece of paper and write stuff down on it again and manifest it, like.
See, to be honest, I should do a lot more manifesting. with the shops, I'm just so grateful. In the last couple of weeks, one of my trainees has actually took on my shop and he's running it. So he's actually got 5 barbers in that shop, and they're all changing their lives, and obviously because of doing the course and stuff. Man on a mission with the bus, as you've seen, the old Ulster bus.
All aboard.
All aboard. It's actually, I'll actually take you out to running or something.
Yeah.
It's actually, I took
Do a
all.
podcast from it.
That's it. What do you call them? What do you call the people that make the brushes? Dead man, the dead man brushes. Dead man. They're from Bangor. They reached out to me because they seen all the homeless stuff I do, and they says, "Listen, we would like you to come down." So I went down and met them. And it says, like, how can we support you? So they actually made the old 1980s brushes, the black one with the pink.
Yeah.
They give me 60 of them with my name on it, and they give me thousands and thousands. What's the stuff that they give me? And I says, listen, to the director, I says, I'm so grateful for you doing that. I'm going to bring my staff down on my bus from Shore Road to Bangor, CM Roads from Bangor, and an old bus. Honestly,
Are you driving the bus?
I got my license. It cost me £1,500 to do my license. I went and got my license to drive this bus.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen the film Rambo: First Blood.
Yeah.
That's why I got down. And the boys are going, is this going to stop?
Yeah.
So we're flying down, and I says, listen, I'm going to go down. I says, and I'm going to do all the staff for free, and we'll come down and cut their hairs. And we went down, you must have seen the setup. We ended up doing like 40 or 50 haircuts, and I pulled up in this bus, and they're like, I can't believe this. Anywhere I go in the bus, even the Translink drivers, because they've never seen these buses, they've only seen a picture of it or like a key ring, and any buses that pass me like that.
I'm just imagining you like pulling up beside a bus stop or something, someone rapping the door like, you let me on.
And Christmas there, I went in with Aidan that does all my video work. We went into the city centre just to do a few clips, and the many people have stopped. I'll rent that out for a wedding. I'll pay you whatever you want. Can I get on? Smell it. It just smells like the back in the 80s. And I'm going, it must see the attention it got, and it was good because it's one of them things where it's a real good conversation starter, and people's getting on it and everything else, and I want to use it for the good, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, there's nobody else has one, and there's a big 12-metre bus run about Belfast, and even to be, I've done a few birthday parties, for wee kids, and I put up this big, the only thing I can describe it of is chitty chitty bang bang, because the noise, and they're like, flip me, there's a Chinook coming. But it's
Jay's Bus Club.
It's mad, like, it's such a blessing to have it too, because I know for a fact, and then I've another one for a tagger. I'm going to make it into an Airbnb. So I've got the land for it and all, so all to do now is do the fit out.
Yeah.
So I'll be getting the ones in from America. They the most blew up and burnt bus in the world. Know what I mean? Get them picked up from the airport, get a few bullet holes, so they don't know how I'm going to do that on this bus, and then get them over to the shop for a haircut of their life.
And in terms of obviously what's sort of obviously the buses and stuff is like a cool thing to have, like, and what is next, like, for yourself, like anything?
There's a couple of ideas I've got coming up, so it's just putting the head down and getting the work done to get the funds to do all things. But I have a couple of big ideas that I want to sort of obviously work harder, so that I'm just getting the things done. With a full online course and all that's available now, which took me a long time. It cost me a lot of money to do, but I'm very grateful to have that. So I've got the online course. I'm going to do a small couple of other courses where people with confidence, or people want to style their hair or their beard, because I think there's a real market for it. And then I want to try and get a subscription thing up where people can subscribe to me every month and get me giving them content all the time, because I think there's a big market for it.
Yeah, awesome.
And you're taking the bus to Dubshed?
And the bus is going to Dubshed. I'm just trying to persuade them to let me put it inside.
I can imagine that. You lowering the bus or anything?
It's a smasher, right? Honestly, it's a real...
Cut the spring clean out of her.
Yeah, awesome. Well, listen, it was an absolute pleasure having you on, and obviously we wish you all the very, very best for the future. And we'll definitely be watching your content, and you never know, we could go to Dubshed. I don't know. And see the bus. But honestly, thank you so much for taking the time. And obviously, if people are listening or watching, we have obviously links to your profiles and stuff in the description, so please go follow Jay, and Absolute pleasure.
Thank you,
Thank you
boys.
so much.
Thank you.
All the best.
Appreciate it.